Hello. Hey y'all. So I'm just gonna play around a little bit for a little while and maybe make a design of a snowflake. And what I did with this rock, this is a Mexican beach pebble, and what I did with it was I painted it black and I put a little bit of Duraclear on here. Hey Leslie. Hey Carolyn. Hey Marianne. But I'm just waiting for a few minutes for this Duraclear to dry because Leslie taught me that it's easier to correct any little errors on your stones if you coat it with the Duraclear first. So I'm going to set this aside for just a minute and I'm going to show you something that I made this morning. So this is just a little template of what the some of the ones that I'm dotting with, things that are kind of around the house. Y'all, I cannot see the comments. I'm standing up for a second and I can see a few of y'all coming on. But when I sit down to paint, I'm not going to be able to see the comments. I'm by myself at the house right now. And so I don't have Ron's phone to hook up so that I can read comments as I go. So you'll just have to listen to me and I'll go back later and answer questions as I can. But I just want to show you some around the house tools that you can use. This large dowel right here, this was actually a foam paintbrush and I took the foam piece comes out of it. And so you can dot with the other end. That makes the largest dot on this little template here. The next one is a pencil eraser like this. That's the second one. The next one is just a wooden stick. This actually came from Michael's in where they do the food, you know, where they make candies and stuff like that. I think that it's a stick. It showed like a candy apple. So that's why the end is pointed. You could also use that end, but it's the same size as something else that I use. This also, these little colored wooden sticks also came out of the candy making aisle. And it's got like a little bit of plastic coating on it, so it's pretty good to dot with. And then of course, Popsicle Sticks. Okay, this is a Popsicle Sticks. A plastic knife. I use this end. Sometimes they have a little bit of roughness right there on the edge. And if you take an emery board or if you have a little sanding block and you just sand that little end down, it makes these ovals right here. The next one down here, this is a push-on eraser that makes these dots right here. I'll move it up in case y'all can't see from the comments. A tongue depressor, which you can also get in the crafts aisle, makes these seeds right up here. And then these little wooden spoons. I found these also in the candy making aisle at Michael's. And they make little seeds. Y'all know that I use my wooden coffee stirrers. They make the smallest ones. And then these little line seeds right here, this is a coffee stirrer from Panera Bread. And this makes these little lines. You can dot with it with those little lines. Now, of course, I still use my nail dotting tools, and I'm pretty much down to 2 or 3 that I actually use now. This is the biggest one that I have. That's the biggest dot. And then several of the ends make the same size dot, and so that's the next size dot. And then that's the very smallest dot. Now, a lot of you know that, you know, I still use the Sally Bates Crystal Lights crochet hooks. So that's one pack. That comes in a pack of 4. And then they also sell a pack of 5. And that comes in the pack of 5. Now, I didn't have anything smaller. This is a 4-point 0.0 size crochet hook. And Michael's just started selling, or I'm sorry, it might be AC Moore, just started selling 3 smaller sizes than this. So I'm pretty excited about those smaller sizes. Before then, what I would have to resort to is the transfer punch set. Pittsburgh transfer punch set. They're just very heavy tools. So, I shy away from trying to use those. I don't really like to use them because they're heavy. And then, of course, I still use screwdrivers. Y'all know I use little screwdrivers. So, just wanted to kind of, I've had a lot of people ask me about the different tools and things. So, I just wanted to kind of start off with that. Now, this is a Mexican beach pebble. So, this isn't one of the stones that I make. I make a lot of them now. Let's see. This is one that I've made from the molds. That's the cement. And I try to sand this off a little bit, and it doesn't look so bad once you paint it black. But this is the Mexican beach pebble, and I'm just going to work on this today. I haven't done one in a while. I've been pretty much sticking to the ones that I make. And so, when I use these, I always use this wound measuring guide to find the center of my stone. It really does help to find the center. And then I have a white charcoal pencil that I use to put the center dot in. This one, I must not have used this one. What I do is I poke a hole in it so that the charcoal pencil will go through. And there you go. There's the center of the stone. Pretty much. This is probably how it would look to y'all. So, y'all know that when I do these lives, I save them so that you can go back to them and watch them later if you can't watch all, the whole thing right now. And I've got some natural light coming in from outside, and then I've also got the lamp that I use, and sometimes the lighting gets kind of weird. So we'll just kind of go with it for right now and see if it changes any. I'm going to try not to make this too awful long. And hopefully it won't get fuzzy on me. Sometimes my internet connection can get really bad. So we're just going to see how it goes. And I don't really know where I'm going with the painting until I get to painting. I have done a couple of templates lately just to play around. This was one of them that I really liked. I take these cutting board. This is cutting board from Dollar Tree, and I just cut them into sections so that I can dot on them. And then if I do a class, people can practice on them. Let's see, I think I need to put something under this stone to hold it up a little bit because it's kind of lopsided. Let's see if that helps. Okay, so I'm just going to start out with some dots, and the color is an apple barrel china blue. I think I'm just going to start out with some light blues and then just go into some darker blues. I don't really know where I'm going with this. It was just cold today, so colder than I'm used to. Hasn't been too bad here yet, and it just started. We got our first freeze warning the other night. So, when I start a mandala, I start top and bottom and then side to side. Because when you're painting a mandala, you want to keep these imaginary lines going throughout the whole process. I really wish I could see y'all's comments. I'm sorry, I'm really not ignoring you. It's just I don't have a way to look at the comments because the phone is up on its little frame that it sits on. And you know, I wipe my tools, and sometimes I wipe after every dot, and then sometimes I don't. Now, that was one of the bigger ends. I'm gonna take a smaller end and put a little teeny dot between each one of those. You know, when it comes to the teeny dots, a lot of times I hold my breath, so. Not being able to chat with y'all because I can't see what you're saying kind of is a little frustrating, but we'll just have to go with it. And if you have questions, I'm going to try and poke my head up every now and then and see what's going on. Now see, I just noticed that I'm not really wiping between each dot there. But what I do is I watch the size of my dots. And if the size of the dot starts to get bigger because there's more paint on there, then I would go ahead and wipe. So I'm gonna go with a shade darker. It's called Blue Heaven, and it's an AC Moore paint. It's a nickel. So, you know, I use all different kinds of paints. So, okay, let's see what we're gonna do. I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go with the pencil eraser. Now, this is kind of tall, so I hope it doesn't get in the way of my frame. Now, what I'm doing is I'm still trying to keep this imaginary line going, okay? And if I need to, I can turn my stone so that I can see the top and the bottom. And it looks like I've kind of left a little gap. So I'll just continue that gap all the way around. Probably didn't really mean to, but once it's there, it's like, hey, just do it with the rest of them and then they'll all look the same. Okay, so here's another one. The imaginary line is gonna go straight to the top. And then again, over here, I'm peeking my head up. Hey Tammy, hey Sheila, hey Delcy, hey Julie, hey Faith. Okay, that was about where I was at. Okay, so when I wipe my erasers off, if I'm using my erasers, I wipe the flat end, because if you start messing with it too much, it's going to change the shape of the eraser. Now I'm going to take next to the smallest dotting tool, and I think I'm going to use white for this, and I'm going to put a dot at the end of each one of those. And what I'm doing is I'm following that dot right there straight down so that I don't get off track. I hope this doesn't get fuzzy for you. And then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna dot up those little oblong seeds. And see, that one doesn't look like it's as big as the rest of them, so I'm just gonna double dot that. Now I'm gonna take the nail dotting tool with the very smallest tip, and I'm gonna walk the dots up the side of that little oblong seed. Just like that. Now, when I use the smallest nail dotting tool, I do wipe after each time that I walk the dots. I don't count the dots. Whoa, almost got my hand in it. Some people do. I just don't. Oh, that was a lot of paint. Hang on. I know people probably have things that they're doing tonight, and I didn't say that I was going live earlier today because this is just on a whim. I was doing some work and just needed a break, and this is the way that I relax. I just popped my head up. Hey, Leslie. Oh, yeah, girl, I can probably get you some. I just found out that Starbucks has them. I saw them in Starbucks the other day. Okay, now I'm just going up the other side. Starbucks also has this little green coffee stirrer, a plastic one that reminds me a lot of the ones from Panera Bread. So y'all, I don't really know if this will turn into a snowflake or not, but we're gonna go for it. We're gonna try it. Not sure what's gonna happen here. But that's the fun of it, right? No pressure. If I was trying to do something, I'd probably have too much pressure to actually do it. That's why I put a question mark on snowflake. Who knows? Maybe it'll be a snowflake. Sorry I can't see comments, y'all, but I'll go back later and look at them. Okay. So, I think I would like to use that little thin Panera Bread one and see what that does. I'm gonna go with a little shade darker. This one is Blue Bonnet. It's a beautiful blue. It's one of my favorite blues. It's from Apple Barrel, and sometimes it's hard to find. So, okay, I must not be the only one that likes it. Now, the trick is to do this without it hitting the rows of dots that I just made. And see, some of them have more room than others. That's a really thin one right there. So I'm gonna wipe off this tool before I do that one. Okay, and I had one more. Okay. Now, I'm going to put a touch of gray in here because, and let's see, this is called Granite Gray. It's an apple barrel. Because if I want to put some silver and maybe even top dot the silver with some mother of pearl or blue, well, this isn't coming out, then I'd like to see gray, some gray as the base for that. And I think at the very end we might get into either some darker blues or top dotting with some darker blues. Okay, let's see. This is about the size of that pencil eraser, I believe. And so I'm trying to put the dot in the center of that long seed from that Panera Bread coffee stirrer. Whoops, I'm getting off the charts over here, guys. I'm sorry. Okay. I'm going to do a couple of petals around those. So I'm going to start with a white dot. That is my second to the largest nail dotting tool size. Boy, I haven't painted, well, I guess I've painted a real rock. I just haven't painted one this size for a while. And they really are much heavier than the ones I make. I don't mind if you share the video, so just make sure that if you share it to a rock group that they allowed you to. I don't want it to be where it's not allowed to be. But I don't mind if you share. So just starting this petal with the white. And it's not, it's just a Nicole's white. It's not an expensive white. And that one's a little bit bigger than the rest of them, but you know, I don't worry about things like that. At the end of the day, you're not going to notice it. I would probably notice it because, oh, and look, I did both sides of that one. There's just no rhyme or reason to my painting, y'all. Ron will probably call me in a few minutes because he'll be on his way home, and I didn't call him and tell him I was going live, so and I'm gonna try my best not to make this one as long as some of the other lives I've done. Now this one is thicker because I didn't wipe my tool. See? So I gotta wipe that off because that's a little too thick. So all my rock painters and hiders, y'all got rocks ready for the winter, right? You've collected rocks and you've got lots of rocks to paint over the winter. For those of y'all that go out. I know when I was on assignment near Lake Michigan, I actually looked up, you know, where you were allowed to take stones. And they had, you know, of course, certain parks, you can't take them out of there, and you can't take them off certain beaches. And then there was this one area that they said you can take up to 25 pounds in a year. Now, this was a couple years ago, so who knows? They might have changed that by now, but I just thought that was funny. 25 pounds of rocks. I absolutely love those natural rocks from the rivers. Okay, so I'm going to go back through again. I'm going to use the next largest tool and go with that lightest blue and do another row to this petal. And then I think we'll try to start putting some, ooh, that got big. Let me redot that one. Okay. Getting happy with the paint here, y'all. Okay. So I hope everybody had a good weekend. I've seen a lot of people on Facebook that have really been dealing with some stuff this weekend and praying for them, and it's just, some things you see are just heartbreaking. And that's why it's good to be able to decompress and just do something like this. So with this petal, it's just going to be too big if I take this dotting tool all the way up. So I'm only putting 3 dots, and then I'm going to go back with the smaller end and finish it off. Okay. Trying not to get too far out of the field of the camera. I haven't decided if I want to go for one of the newer iPhones that they say has a better camera, or if I want to get an actual camera that people use for this sort of thing. I haven't figured it out yet. But for now, we're just going to stick with what we got. Oh, look at that. I missed a big dot right there. You always want the center one to be bigger than the rest of them. And then a lot of times when I top dot, I only top dot either the biggest one or the biggest one and a couple of them that go up. I don't try to top dot the little teeny tiny ones. Okay, now I'm going to go to the really smallest tool. And if y'all can't stay on, you know, I'm going to tell you again, I always save these, so You can go back at any time and look at it. Okay. For this, I'm barely touching the dotting tool into the paint. And trying to remember to wipe it after every time I use it. So I just saw that comment. Right now I'm wiping after every time I do the walking of the dots. Because you don't wipe while you're walking the dots because you want the dots to get smaller and smaller and smaller. And the paint gets less and less, and that's why the dots get smaller and smaller and smaller. But after every time I'm trying to wipe, I forget sometimes. Okay. I call these petals. I'm not really sure what everyone else calls them. I think I heard Leslie call them petals one time. Can y'all believe that we only have about 60 days until New Year's? It's just unbelievable. We say that every year though, don't we? I guess as we get older, time just gets crazy. Okay, so not sure what I want to do here, but I think I'm going to go with another dot. And I don't even think it's going to be as big as the last one. This one is another different color. This is a ceramic coat. What's the name of this? Lake. It's called Lake. It's just another color blue. I just want to go with some different colors. Different color blues. And I gotta see. I'm just gonna go for another dot right here. Not sure what I'm gonna do with that middle right there. It's a little bare. And I might just put a couple of dots up it. We'll see. I don't know. Sorry if I'm getting off track a little. Okay. So I think there's enough room in each one of these to put a couple of dots. So I'm going to try that. Try and line it up with that white dot as much as I can. That one's off a little bit. We'll live. This rock is heavy, y'all. Yeah, a couple of them are off a little bit, but I don't think it'll be that noticeable. Now, I'm gonna put a white dot under each one of those. Make sure my white is still good and mixed up and doesn't have, like, you know, that little crust that forms after it's sat for a little while. I think I'm gonna put, you know, some other pearl on this and really kind of bling it up a little bit. But what this is gonna be where those drag dots all meet. Okay, I'm gonna go with a darker blue for, gotta get another paint holder. This is a really pretty blue too. This is called Bright Blue by Americana. Okay, now I'm gonna do these drag dots. Now the drag dots, you just have to do them very, very slow. So I load up the dotting tool pretty heavy. And I'm just gonna drag it to that white tip. Okay. And it's just got to be really slow. Y'all know I hold my breath when I do some of these, so can't talk and drag. Now the trick is to keep turning the stone and not get your fingers in the paint. Oh, how many times have we all done that? like a million times maybe. I just have it sitting on a paper towel. I know y'all know that, but okay, so that's the first drag dot. Okay, now we're gonna do the lighter color because they're gonna look a little like feathers. So I'm gonna make sure this is stirred up good. Okay, and it is. So I'm gonna start this one down a little, not right at the very top of the drag dot, but I'm gonna go down a little bit. And I'm just gonna curve it in. To the other one. Now, no two snowflakes are alike, right? So, they really are very pretty. And I'm not even so much talking about snowflakes, but what I think is really pretty is when you get in your car and you've had frost on the windshield and it makes those crazy designs. Oh my gosh, it's so pretty. Okay, gonna speed it up a little bit, y'all. Okay, this is the last one. Okay, so, okay, let's see. Now I'm gonna do the lightest blue, oh no, the second to the lightest blue. I'm gonna go down a little bit further. Let me wipe that off. Okay, we're getting there. And some of the lines are a little heavier than others, and I'm not worried about that. It'll all look good in the end. Okay, I'll hold this up in a minute so y'all can actually see a little better what it's looking like. And now I can either decide to do one more with the white, or maybe just put 2 little white dots. And I think that's what I'm gonna do. So it looks like that. Okay, so just a small little white dot on each side. Don't ask me why. I don't know why. I just thought it'd be cute. If it touches that last little drag dot, that's okay. Kind of looks like tassels or something. I don't know if this turned out to be a snowflake. Probably not, but okay, now what we're gonna do is we're gonna do a little bit of seed work here. I'm gonna use the end of this little wooden spoon. This little wooden spoon is the one that I got at, y'all, I can't remember if it was AC Moore or Michael's, but it was in the candy making aisle. So I'm gonna use this to do some seeds. And I think I'm gonna use that blue Bonnet because I'm gonna go back and highlight it with some pearl paint when I get done. So I'm gonna use that circle right there as my guide of where to start. And I might even come down a couple of rows. Oh, hey, April. Yeah, I'm probably going to do some ornaments pretty soon. I did some ornaments last year, and I didn't know to use the shatterproof ornaments. Now I know to use shatterproof ornaments because I broke one. And then, this wasn't last year, this was the year before last. And then when I gave them to everyone, I gave them with the disclaimer, I know you're gonna break this. Don't feel bad. I just didn't know to use the shatterproof ornaments. And so then I went kind of back and I was looking at what everyone else was doing, and they were using shatterproof ornaments. Live and learn. But it was probably one of the prettiest ornaments that I had done. And I was holding it up and looking at it in the light because I had put some of those crystals on it. And it slipped out of my hand and fell on my table onto some rocks that I was painting. And it just shattered. And I was like, oh no. Because I realized right then that I should not have been using glass ornaments. Because y'all, ornaments break. You know that. Anybody that's got a cat or a toddler knows that ornaments break. I don't know that that last one on the bottom there is really necessary, but I'm going for it. This little wooden spoon is actually pretty easy to work with. I don't want to get it out of the direction of the camera, so let me move this a little bit. There we go. So still using that last big dot to decide where to start these little seeds. I imagine these could make a pretty cool Christmas tree. The hardest thing is to move these rocks and not get your fingers in them. Oh, Joyce, you're brave using those glass ornaments. They're prettier, but I don't know. I just would feel bad if somebody breaks one. Okay, now what to do? So now what I do is I look and see where there's space and what should I do with it. And I see space pretty much on each side of these dots. And I can top dot all of that to make it pretty, you know. So I don't mind filling up that space. And I really wanted to put probably a little more gray in it because I want to top dot the gray with silver. And let me see if I can get a dot there and get a dot there. Well, I think that's going to work. Maybe. Might be a little tighter on some of them. Okay, so it's a blue and white and silver stone. I don't know if it's a snowflake, but let's just say it's my version of a snowflake. I've done pretty good about not, getting my hands in it, and then look, I just did. Look at that. See? See, it's on me. Where did it come from? I don't know. Oh well. Okay, so I gotta do something here because I don't think that's gonna be big enough area. Well, let's do it really lightly. It worked. Not quite symmetrical, but it worked. And last one. It's funny, y'all. Sometimes I post rocks and people will message me and go, oh, you forgot a dot, or you forgot to top dot. I'm like, oh my gosh, I sure did. I don't mind. I just go back and fix it. Well, I like this. Now, you know, I like to top dot, so I've got to get this to where it's level. Let me stick this spoon under here. Nope, it needs to be bigger than that. Okay, because the first top dot will be the mother of pearl. Martha Stewart, mother of pearl, my favorite. And I don't need a whole lot. And so I go a size down from whatever I used to begin with. Okay. And then I'm going to top my white. Okay, now I'm only going to top dot the one in the center. I hope this hasn't been fuzzy for y'all. Okay, and then again, going with the white, I'm gonna dot the center. Okay. Now, I think I might do something else to that white one right there, but I do want to dot the ones on each side of it. And so, a lot of times just while I'm into the, while I've got the pearl paint right there, I'll just go along and do whatever it is that I wanted the top dot to be, and I'll just go through and do all of that one color. Top dotting to me is just what makes these stones. I love the top dotting. It's kind of like getting dressed up. You got to put the jewelry on, right? Okay, last one in white, and I just hit it. Did y'all see that? Okay. You don't really notice it though, so I'm not going to worry about it too much. Just redot it. Okay. Okay, so another thing that I do is I usually dot somewhere on the seeds. And a lot of times I'll make that either darker or lighter. And so in this case, I'm going to go with darker. And for whatever reason, I usually dot the top. I don't know why. It's just something I've gotten into. Okay. Okay, so my other dots, this is Brushed Metal by Folk Art. And this is Brushed Pale Silver. Now, you have to be careful with metallic paints because they will run on you if you're not careful. So we're going to try to be really careful with this and get a nice dot on each one of these. And it might be that after this dries, I might even go back and top the very center with a very small dot of mother of pearl. Okay. Now, these little dots that I want to dot with the silver, they're not quite dry yet, so I'm going to have to wait on them. This is another metallic Martha Stewart, not metallic, but pearl, and it's called Cornflower. And so, let's see where we want to put a little bit of cornflower. I think that might be pretty on this other blue. Let me see if that's the one. No. Use this. It was a pretty vibrant little blue, and this takes it down just a hair. Sorry. Y'all know that's Ron. He's on his way home, so I'll probably have to take that in a minute because he will I want to let him know that I'm going live. Okay, this is a Martha Stewart called Jetstream. And what I'm going to do with that is instead of dotting the white with mother of pearl on these, I think I'm just going to put a little dot of this like silvery blue in these. Oh yeah, I like that. Okay. But the rest of these, probably it's gonna have to dry for about 30 minutes or maybe even an hour before I can top dot any more of those. Because if you don't wait for what's underneath to dry, your dots just won't look like dots. And I think I'm gonna take that blue and go on top of each one of these silvers. And this blue, I can do this blue with. But I think that's about it. And I'll let this dry for a while and top dot a couple more things on it, and then I'll post it. Oh, you know what? And this right here. These were that same really pale blue. And I can even take the smallest dotting tool and go up the side about probably 3. If I do any more than 3, I'll probably get off track, so I don't want to mess it up like that by going too much. And then I also want to put a dot into each one of these seeds. Okay, guys. I'm sorry I couldn't watch all of the comments. I didn't have another way but just to put my phone up in the air, so I couldn't see comments. But I'll go back and I'll check out some comments, and I think she's about done, except for just a little bit more top dotting. And then what I do to end up is I seal with DuraClear. So that is about it. It's a wrap. Thank you all for jumping on. Hope you have a good week. Hope you had a good weekend. And I'll see you next time.